We'll give it a couple more minutes for anybody else still popping in, but if you can, for those of you who just popped in, if you can send your name, your chapter, and what position you are into the chat for attendance purposes, that would be super helpful. All right. So we do ask that you guys um put your cameras on for the presentation. Um, and I am going, I can figure it out. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Allie. I am the new communications director for Omega Phi Alpha. I took over from Casey as of November 1st. Um, and I know that she had done a um, best practices for chapter apparel in the past, but I wanted to give a refresh because I'm sure many of you are new to your positions. So this is kind of gonna just be a crash course in chapter apparel orders and how to make sure everything is done by the books to prevent delays and things not going through properly. So I joined the Alpha Phi chapter of OFIA in spring of 2022. At that time, it was the Binghamton Potential New Chapter. I graduated in May of 2024. I was the founding vice president of my chapter, and I held that position for 2 years. After graduation, I started shadowing for this position in June, and I took over in November. Um, a little bit about me. I love baseball. I'm a big Yankees fan. Yoga, volunteering, reading, cooking, and arts and crafts. I have a cat. His name is Bandit. I'm sure you will see him pop in, because he knows no personal space. I live in Pittsburgh, and I am the advisor for, well, when I made this presentation, they were the Pittsburgh Interest Group. They're now the Pittsburgh Potential New Chapter. So we're going to go over licensing and licensed vendors, chapter orders, and then um, I have a little bit of a surprise announcement for you all at the end. So starting with licensing and licensed vendors. So omega phi alpha is trademarked. So the Greek words omega phi alpha have been registered with the US Patent and Trademark Office since August of 1993. So what this means for us is that Omega Phi Alpha has the right to control and license its name and logo use in any format, including the crest, the coat of arms, the Greek letters, and any current brand identity, so any current logos and marks that we are using. So, in order to protect these from misrepresentation, we work with affinity marketing consultants, which you may also know as just affinity or Greek licensing. And we work with them to administer a name and logo licensing program. So, through the licensing program, Affinity ensures that all of the products that use our organization's approved marks are done in compliance with the brand standards that were set by OFIA. It notifies any companies that have violated the use of OFIA's marks, and it also allows us to collect royalty payments from officially licensed vendors. So basically, what that means is when you guys order merch for your chapter, the national organization gets a pretty small kickback from it. That just allows us to continue updating our branding. So, through the program with Affinity, we recognize certain vendors as authorized licensed vendors of merchandise, who are allowed to produce items that bear the sorority's name or symbols. So, they develop and market products that consistently reflect our brand, and licensed vendors must be used to produce or manufacture any products or merchandise bearing our marks. So anytime you place a chapter apparel order, it has to be through one of our licensed vendors. So in order to find products and request price quotes for licensed vendors, we have a licensed vendor page through Affinity. It's linked on OPA portal. I will also send it out in Slack after this presentation. Um, and if your usual vendor is not licensed, they have to become licensed. And they're able to do so through Affinity's website to start the process. Um, Honestly, any merchandise vendor should know how to go to Greek licensing and get their license, but if not, it's just greeklicensing.com/licensing. So, our top licensed vendors, our top 10 are Fresh Prince, South by Sea, Custom Ink, Sorority Letters Shop, TGI Greek, University Tees, Metro Greek, Emerson Coast, Something Greek, and Uber Prints. But we actually have 70 licensed vendors. So that includes, common Greek brands such as Ali and Ariel, um, Brit Bee, Kite and Crest, all kinds of companies, um, as well as some that are local to your schools. So I know We have ones that are local to Penn State, some that are local to Oklahoma State, um, and there's more. So yeah, we have 70 licensed vendors at the moment for everything from pins to composites to merchandise to cords and stoles for graduation. So pretty much anything you need OFA wise, we've got a vendor for it. So for our chapter orders, all orders placed by chapters through licensed vendors are reviewed by Affinity Licensing. So I'm going to outline that general process for you guys that orders go through when chapters decide to order new merch. So first, you guys engage with a licensed vendor with your design idea or just kind of go to them and say, "Hey, we want to make merch. We have no idea." Um, then that licensed vendor will design merch that follows OFIA's guidelines. They will submit that design to the Affinity licensing portal. So Affinity will review that design for compliance with our guidelines. If Affinity has any questions, they reach out to me for any like guidance and approval. I'll say like, yes, that's fine, or no, like this doesn't go with our guidelines. If it gets pushed through, the design is approved for production. If not, Affinity will go back and tell the vendor these are the changes that need to be made, and they'll go to you and communicate those changes with you. So, the general order process, the chapter places the order and submits the payment. The individual orders and pays through the vendor landing page, or you do a group order with all of the sizes submitted and the chapter pays the full cost. So you can then collect payment from members. So there's three different ways that you could do the orders. It's up to you guys and how your chapter does things. Um, then once the order is purchased, the vendor will produce it and ship it. So for art design and approval, Um, the group merchandise and apparel orders have to be placed directly with a licensed vendor who will then refer to the guidelines and brand standards that we provide to Affinity, and Affinity then provides to vendors. The licensed vendors will have access to all of OFIA's logos and symbols through Affinity, so they can develop art using those logos. And then you guys are also welcome to submit a ready-made design to a licensed vendor who will then just transform it to put on whatever merchandise it is that you're ordering. All proposed artwork has to be submitted by the licensed vendors to the artwork approval site with Affinity. The art is reviewed within 48 hours and it's either approved, needs edits, or just rejected. So, um, items or designs that don't meet brand standards or guidance may be rejected, and Affinity may provide edits. Sometimes there's just something that clearly does not fit our standards, or it's submitted to us, but it doesn't say anything related to OFIA on it. So that is when um, it may come back to you guys with no edits, but usually Affinity is pretty good about letting vendors know what needs to be changed. Vendors are then able to revise and resubmit the artwork for future review, and you can keep doing that as many times as it takes for it to be approved. So, for collecting orders and payment from members, there are two approaches. So first, the chapter submits the order. So members will submit the order to the chapter. The chapter collects payment from members. Um, we do ask for that you guys use OPA portal or whatever. Um, if your chapter has like Zelle or whatever, um, or you could build t-shirt costs into dues. The chapter will then submit sizes and quantities to the licensed vendor and pay in full for the order. The second option is having individual members submit their own orders. So some vendors may provide an order placement landing page. I know for a fact that Fresh Prints and University Teas do this. And through that landing page, individuals can select their preferred sizes, their personal payment methods, and the chapter only needs to provide the link to the order site. So, some tips and best practices. Start working with the vendor way earlier than you think, just in case you run into an issue of things being rejected or needing edits. Many vendors will have art libraries that you can use for inspiration. Headquarters, aka me, I only get involved if there is an issue with the art that is not cut and dry and Affinity has questions. Um, and return to your favorite vendors because if you've used them before, there's a 95% chance they are still licensed with us. So now time for the little surprise that we have planned. So we are going to be bringing back the Merch Madness competition. Um, so basically how this works is I'm gonna send the form for you all to submit merch designs. As of right now, the cutoff is March 1st. However, if we get one submission per chapter, then we will close it earlier. Um, and yeah, so only a one design per chapter will be allowed. So if we get multiples, we'll probably reach out to the chapter officers and ask which one you would prefer to be used. And we'll have actives, alumni voting via Instagram story poll. And then one thing that I didn't put on the slide is that the winning design, the chapter that designed the winning design will be allowed to design merch that we will then produce and sell for actives and alumni. So, does anybody have any questions about anything? I know that was a lot of information in 15 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to share that I just started a campus manager position with University Teas. So I don't know if any of y'all have worked with University Teas on your campus, but um, a lot of campuses do have campus managers. So if you've worked with one on your campus, that's great. But if you don't have one on your campus or you haven't worked with one before, you can absolutely reach out to me to help you with ordering merch and everything. Because as a campus manager, I basically just do the whole order process for you. And we have a whole design gallery, and you can meet with the art team to like help you with that whole ordering process. Or if you just need help in general ordering merch, you can always reach out to me. So I just wanted to share that with y'all.
All right. Um, Anybody else have any questions?
What is typically like the best or cheapest option for like selecting where you want to go?
So it depends on the design and how much, um, really like how much screen printing they have to do. Um, so my best recommendation is reach out to a couple of different companies, get some estimates, and then make that decision. Um, I know like my chapter often used Fresh Prints. But we also have a member of our chapter who is a campus manager for Fresh Prints. I know a lot of chapters also use University Teas and South by Sea. So those are all definitely good options, but if you're looking for some different options for the best price, I would recommend reaching out to a couple and seeing what the differences are, because some will also have different minimum requirements for ordering. Anybody else? All right, so before you all go, I'm gonna drop two links in the chat. So the first one is going to be a feedback form for OLA sessions. And this basically is just going to be a short little um, survey that Jenna's going to use to help plan future OLA sessions. And then the second one that I'm going to send is going to be the link to the Merch Madness submission form. If it will load for me. So both of those forms have been sent in the chat for you all. Um, and yeah, I'll stick around if anybody has any other questions or anything. Um, but yeah.
Bye, thank you.
Of course.